Recently, I had a chance to go to Copenhagen, Denmark, and I figured since I was there, I would visit a few comic shops, anime shops, and do 2 meetups to talk to local cosplayers, con-goers, photographers about the scene in Denmark. Okay, so basically the conventions here are, the big ones are Genki, and J-Pop.
And J-PopCon. And SBS is somewhat big.
Yeah, so
okay.
SVSCon is also a big one. So we have 3 big conventions, and then we have a lot of smaller conventions for less people.
Okay, from Genki.
Well, it was meeting all these freaks in costumes because I was very new to all these things. Like, holy shit! It's one of my friends dragged me into all of it. So it like he gave me this free ticket. I was like, okay, I'll do it. And I was like, fuck. No. Then I arrived. I was like, oh shit, this is awesome. And then I just I got bit by a mad cosplayer, and I just started building armors like a madman.
The whole feel of the convention is really nice, you know, the whole community. You go, you make something, and you go and you get credit, and you give other people credit, and you know, you make connections with, you know, strangers, which is, you know, pretty cool.
So it's like making new friends?
Yeah.
Like that?
I just like when people are always happy. I mean, it's the happiest place I know. That's why I always go.
So would the word be, there's a Danish word that's cozy? Hyggen. So is our convention very... Wait, Hyggen.
Convention is hyggelig.
Hygelig.
Yes.
Am I pronouncing this right? Hygelig? How do you describe Hygelig?
Well, it's just feeling good in a good company and just be relaxed, enjoying yourself and friends.
Yeah, just have a lot of fun. Well, normal Danish term is, normal Danish explanation of hygge is that you're sitting in front of a living fireplace with some hot chocolate and some blankets around you inside when it's autumn or winter. Really cold outside, just sit inside with that hot chocolate and with a good friend and talk. That's kind of a Danish explanation sometimes.
Wait, so those are the, so you guys don't have badges, you guys have...
Yeah, we have like, yeah. I'm missing 3 of them because they fell off, but...
So how do you know what year they are?
It stands on them, this was March
2014.
But this is the very first one.
Wait,
it
doesn't say so here.
2012.
Yeah. The new ones gets worse and worse, and this isn't a con, this is the summer camp, a Japanese summer camp.
The general like costume level, it's good, but even among the like really good cosplayers, those who are seen as the good cosplayers, they're mostly seen as the good cosplayers because they make good costumes, but they make great skits. So that's kind of where you get the whole. That's where
That's where you get your fame.
Yeah, that's where you get. That's where you kind of make a name for yourself in the Danish cosplay community. That is by making good skits.
Okay.
That's what we're really. It seems what the Danes are really into, like a cosplay act.
So if there's 20 cosplay groups and there's 20 acts?
It varies how many
you can go
It's usually about 20.
or you can go solo.
Oh, okay, so wait, you could do a solo? Okay.
Yeah, you can do a solo or you can do a group. Like, it's a lot harder to do an act alone because it's very hard to be on the scene and you talking for about 2 minutes alone. And
especially because the teams always seem to bring a really interesting story and bring some drama and a lot of choreography and scenography into it. And to live up to that level when you're only one person, it can get really hard. And also, you don't have something to play off of. So there's almost never as many solo competitors as there are.
Furries. Are there furries at conventions here? Yes, furries. So furries exist. Homestuck. Yes, Homestuck exists. Okay. Lolita fashion culture. Like, are there Lolitas?
Yeah.
Okay, Lolitas are here. What about kigurumis is the one with a mask, not the pajamas, but the face mask.
We don't have those.
No?
I haven't seen them.
Haven't seen gender bends.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot, especially superhero gender bends. It's a really popular thing.
Okay.
I think Captain America really wear you so
Yeah, maybe.
What about crossovers, where you cross two characters from two different series together?
There are some, I think,
but I don't see it a lot, but I kind of love when people do it.
Is there anything that people cosplay that's specifically Danish related? That only Danish would recognize, but if you did it like in Sweden, nobody would recognize it.
I once saw from a Danish julekalender,
Christmas
calendar TV show called Pyrus, and I saw some guys made some of the gnomes from that. I know, and Wolfie. They did the Gyllengrød and hvad var den anden? Pyrus and Gyllengrød. That was that would be very Danish thing.
That was a very Danish.
That's anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, for not a lot of people do that. It's kind of rare.
It's really rare.
I don't think we make a lot of stuff in Denmark that's cool enough to cosplay.
Not kind of cosplay. Stuff to do. How hard is it to get materials for cosplay? Wigs, materials.
That's hard. No, I don't think that it's that hard. It's more the money. Yeah, it's
The
more
money?
money. It's really expensive. I guess.
The best way to get just things eBay.
eBay?
To get there, but
Yeah, either eBay or sew it yourself.
yeah.
We have a lot of like chains for fabric shopping. We have a couple, and then there are these independent stores. But the variety of fabric in Denmark is very slim,
And the prices are very high.
especially when it comes to colors. The only fabric you can get in most colors is broadcloth.
Yeah, or satin.
Yeah, broadcloth or satin, and that's not usable for a lot of cosplays.
They only have like fashion colors.
Yeah.
So then you're forced to go online to buy fabric online and then have it shipped?
She has, for example, a costume made entirely out of fabric she found on eBay, and it's a lot of different fabric.
A whole lot of different.
So it's either you're lucky or you just go, nah, I'm not gonna deal with this, and you go try to find something online, because it's also really expensive to buy fabric.
We also don't have any wig stores or anything of that kind. We have to buy everything wig related on
internet. Do they have wig vendors at the conventions?
They do, but they're not easily that expensive.
They're more fashion wig. Like,
Oh, okay. So they can. Okay. So you guys. Okay. So basically, in general, you order wigs online, and that's basically it. But how do you tell the quality if you don't know the quality or who the seller is?
Trial and error, and we talk a lot in the community. Well, I use we have a Facebook group where we can ask each other about, do you know this seller? Is it a good quality? Have you bought from this one before?
Okay.
And then we have some specific things we're looking for in the description of the wig, and if we can see, okay, it's matching and the seller is good, other people recommend it, then I go for it. So
Then you all go for it.
I think what we don't have in fabrics, we do with our craftsmanship again. That like even if we don't have the nicest fabric, we again go a lot of like it has to be perfect. All this thing has to be.
I would actually say that they, in general, Scandinavians, because I've also seen it from cosplayers from Sweden and Norway and stuff, get really, really creative with their materials, because there's such a limited
Quality you can get.
variety. So people get really creative with how they do stuff, what they use, and what they use for what. Yeah.
What is your favorite part of a convention?
Oh, the people. Yeah, definitely the people. Getting to know new people is always a nice feeling. And it also makes you feel like you actually have friends. It's a totally new feeling, really.
Because the people at conventions are just so nice, and they like the same stuff as you do, and you don't often meet people who like the same stuff because it's not that big in Denmark. So when you go to a convention, you're sure that everyone around you loves the same.
Cosplayers I've talked to who has been to Denmark and have seen the cosplay shows, they're always so impressed by it because we make it such a big deal. Even Yaya, even Yaya started acting like she did the act.
She mentioned it heroes of cosplay.
Yeah, she did the Alice act right after because she was so inspired by it. Which is kind of cool to watch me like
all these just like yes. And J-PopCon people really go all out. They give it.
It's like going to see a theater play. Yeah, it's like going to see a play. When
like I've shown my dad some of the stuff people do, and he's impressed and just like that's stuff people would pay to watch. That's amazing.
We do pay to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Non-cosplayers find it interesting.
It's really cool because in this walk there's gonna be cake.
Cake?
Yeah, like they like even put it up in the description. And cosplay walk with cake, and we're just like
where we eat cake because they couldn't actually spell with cake.
What is a cosplay walk?
It's like, it's usually just a lot of people who love cosplay or just a culture who just ask people to meet up, and then we walk along, and then most people come to cosplay, but not every people, and then everyone, all the people, and then we stop at bubble tea or bring cake
or McDonald's.
Always.
I decided to go check out one of the comic book stores recommended by people here in Copenhagen called Vampyrsten, which, I hope I got that right. It's a 2-level store. The bottom level has the manga side, while upstairs has the comic and the Danish comic side. They even have a copy of Spider-Man #1, at least in Danish, Spider-Man #1. I was surprised to find an anime store, so I went over to talk to the owner about the scene in Copenhagen. So this is actually the first, like, true anime store in, would you say Denmark?
Yeah, in Denmark.
Pretty much? Okay, and then how did you come with this idea to open a store? And how old is the store?
The store itself is a little bit less than a year old. And actually the reason I took a long detour for opening a store. I actually started with publishing a Danish manga magazine. And as an extension of that, then people saw, he's publishing manga, then people started asking me if I could get a hold of merchandise. So I said, sure, let me see if I can get a hold of some.
Do you know what the first anime convention was in Denmark?
I'd say it was J-PopCon in like, what was it, early 2000s, late series or something?
No, it was before the year 2000. But that was a kind of very small one where they had like 20-30 people meeting up in a guy's apartment. And then it just went from there. Then more people started showing up, and then just kind of realized, oh, I don't have room anymore in my apartment, so let's see if we can rent some rooms. Then it just went from there.
Now, what is it held in? A convention center?
Yeah, convention centers, arenas, something like that. And there's like, what, 2,500, 3,000 people at night almost. It's still very cozy, a social thing.
And that's one of them. There's actually four conventions in Denmark.
4 anime conventions?
Yeah, 4 anime conventions that's held yearly with the smallest one have 400 attenders, and the 2 largest ones have more than 2,000 attenders.
I should ask about a different conventions. Do you folks have a comic book convention?
We have one, yeah.
Yeah, we have it's called Copenhagen Comics. Actually, I guess you recommend it's a pretty big international convention where they actually have guests from all over the world. There's a kind of local joke that comic convention have actually more manga guests than a manga convention in Denmark.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
It's an older group they can cater to, so it's people who have been into the whole genre for so much more time and are more dedicated and something like that. Like professionals.
So this is, how big is this convention?
I have no idea.
I think they had between 3,000 and 4,000 attenders last time it was held.
Wow.
That's pretty big.
That's pretty big. And is there cosplay at this event as well?
But they do have people showing up in cosplay, but there's no cosplay events. It's more an industrial, kind of like a mix of a cultural fair and industrial fair. There's a lot of industrial people showing up.
Okay. So then they wouldn't have cosplay contests or masquerades or art galleries?
Not that a comic. Not that a comic. It's much more a cultural event.
Okay, I can understand that. For an anime convention here, then I'm going to assume that there is a dealer room.
Yeah.
Okay, then there's a artist alley.
An artist alley, yeah.
Then there's something related to cosplay, like a masquerade, or I don't know how you call it here.
Several cosplay shows.
Cosplay shows?
In every regard, there's popular, you know, the big one where you get sent further to China or Japan for the real, you know, international contests. And there's also the garbage cosplay, I think it's called, where you just put things out of your closet and then just, you know, put it on. Hobo cosplay, yeah.
Oh, I think we call it a closet cosplay.
Closet cosplay.
That's how we do it called in America, because you're just putting stuff in your closet.
Exactly.
You know, like, do you folks have Renaissance fairs?
No, but we do have LARP, you know, live.
Yeah, LARPing.
It's amazingly popular. I actually think it's like the most popular pastime for young kids in Denmark. It surpassed like soccer and basketball and everything.
Really? LARPing?
It's still Viking blood, still boiling. And there's huge like wars and scenarios. And it also kinda not had this new convention called Geekcore, where there was a huge amount of live action role players, comic book geeks, and a small amount of anime. So it's sort of like, you know,
a collection?
A mishmash, yeah. I wouldn't say Comic-Con, but something in the likes.
Conventions here, who goes to them? What's the age range?
The age, most of the age range is from early 10s to early 20s. That's a large group and a larger number of females.
Yeah.
And then when you go above that age group, then it's mainly male attenders. But generally, all the attenders are the minority at Danish conventions.
Okay, so you know, in America we have people who cosplay and they're in their late 20s, 30s, and 40s. Do you see people in their later 20s, 30s, and 40s?
Very rarely.
Very rarely.
There's really a community for older anime fans in Denmark. We kind of lose them when they get, you know, into the 25, 30 year range. Mainly because we also target young people, teenagers and stuff at our conventions, you know, as a attendee group, which is a kind of a shame.
How do you describe the geek community here?
It's small. It's small. Fairly small. It's really social because of that, and you know, these people have to kind of stick together. So, you know, Facebook and all these kinds of forums and stuff are really filled with these people, and they kind of all know each other. That's pretty cool.
I think the thing is with Denmark is that because Denmark is also small, so you pretty much know everybody. If you don't know somebody, then you know someone who knows someone in Denmark. I think the total population in Denmark is smaller than New York.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So then, but for 2,000, 3,000 people showing up, that's probably pretty good compared you know, population-wise.
Exactly. In the regards, I also think that usually comics are a more mature, I wouldn't say culture, but for the more mature audience. And most people I know who actually read comics, like, as in comics are, they're like 30 or like in the early 40s or something.
That's kind of divide in the Danish geek community. So you have the comic readers and comic creators, who are people who grew up with comics in the 70s, 80s, where comic was really big in Denmark.
It's not as big as it used to be?
No, it's far from it. Beforehand, you could find this French comic albums in pretty much every single store and candy stores.
Yeah.
But not anymore. So when was the heyday? 80s? 70s?
Yes. It died around late 80s, early 90s. That's where it started crashing. The thing is that they kind of created their own bubble. Comic was so big that a lot of publishers they just started publishing crap. And then the bubble burst, and then a lot of publishers they came crashing down.
That's kind of like the U.S. in the 90s. There was a bubble burst, and it actually shrank because comic books got almost too popular. People were like, there were so many different covers to Spider-Man that, you know, collector stuff, you know. But it kind of went.
That makes sense. That makes sense, you know. When something gets wildly popular, you know, and more money in it, and you can produce more.
Yeah, and then the companies they overinvest. They invest too much money, they don't get the money back.
And then it's
happening. Really soon. To be honest, I mean, it's been escalating the past 12 years. So
we just talk about anime here. How do people get anime here? Is this basically? Is there a legal way to do it, or is it basically?
Yes, Crunchyroll is very widespread and used. also buying anime is actually a thing to do as well. Most people don't really know how to torrent, and if they do, they don't really do it as much.
They stream it. Most of them watch stream.
Yeah, and I said the majority absolutely streams, and that's the thing with being these small close communities, because they have these communities where everyone is close inside together. They don't have the need to go outside and feel watching talking about Reddit or other forums online, Gaia or something like that. So they don't get these new inputs, meaning that they only watch the things that they heard of. They don't really branch out, and they watch it in the way that they heard of.
So you're asking anybody questions. Okay, so DVDs sold here, are they dubbed in Danish?
No.
No.
They were actually in the...
At some point, yes, they were, but it's actually funny because it's mainly Sweden who kind of has the credits for this, and it's subbed in Danish some part, but dubbing in Danish is it's really expensive because there's only like 5 million people watching it, and no, there's not 5 million people. It can get to 5 million people, but only the anime percentage watch it.
I think they stopped dubbing anime around 2004, 2005.
They made
so subtitles now.
Yeah, subtitles. The few that does get published is pretty much only Ghibli that get it published
Ghibli is
nowadays.
another thing, and it also has dubs, and Dragon Ball Z had dubs, and Naruto has recently gotten dubs. Shaman King, that was like Last Exile.
Tokyo Mew,
but that's all like early Zero stuff.
Early 20s. In the early Zeros, I mean.
It doesn't happen anymore. But the thing is, Sweden as being like double as populous as Denmark, they actually had kind of an anime populace and subculture, an anime industry.
Really?
And they subbed it in Swedish, but since the Danish, Swedish, Norwegian languages are pretty similar, they also did it in Danish and Swedish as a side thing. So most things you can find Danish sub is actually from Sweden.
Okay.
So they kind of helped the industry here just a bit.
Just a bit. Do the Swedish still do dubs?
No, not really. It's mainly sub. I think the time where dub was really big in Denmark, that was back in the early 90s, with the VHS. There was actually there was actually a lot of anime actually got dubbed on the VHS. Robotech.
Yeah.
Let's see, Cyber 009 also got dubbed in Danish. So all the old late 80s, early 90s anime actually came out in Danish.
And Serial Experiments Lane was also bought and distributed as Danish, not in dub, but as sub. You can find it in most libraries, which is pretty funny.
Wow, okay, that was interesting. Okay, so you guys here the furthest to this meetup. So, in your side of the country, what is there convention-wise?
Yeah. From where we live, that's like 2.5 hour trip.
No? So in general, the conventions up north, it's much smaller?
Yeah.
Well, SBS is it the smallest? Like of the big ones, the three.
It's the smallest of the big ones.
But it's the most cozy one, like Hygge.
Yeah. It's the coziest one. That's how they sell it. They say that it's the coziest convention.
Not too crowded.
Not too crowded.
So they have a lot of space for people to sit down and talk.
But you don't have space to sit down and talk at J-PopCon? Or GenkiCon?
No, not Genki. It's very crowded. Yeah. You have to sit outside on the ground.
Oh, okay. Ooh, that's probably fun. So how is the community out there? Are there a lot of cosplayers out there?
Not that I know of, no. There are a few, but there's not really enough to make, cosplay walks or anything like that.
So
it's not something they do all the way up there.
Oh no? Oh, okay.
It's kind of difficult to get people together because we live so far apart. So we have to compromise and find somewhere in the middle of the country that everyone can afford to travel to.
Wow.
Get together to mainly do cosplay things. I mean, it's really rare for us to do anything else.
But cosplay day?
Yeah. When our group gets together, it's all about cosplays.
Yeah. It's rarely about anything else.
Well, how long have you guys been cosplaying?
I've been cosplaying since 2008 with our other member who couldn't be here today.
You're a senior.
Yeah.
Senior, and then so you start in
2010.
10?
I think 12, 11.
11, 12. Oh, so you're the baby of the group.
Yeah, you're the baby.
Yay.
I think actually I'm kind of the baby because I was the last one to join.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
So I'm very cool with it, like in my parents.
No?
Yeah, they sort of tried to talk you out of it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
My mom was really against it at first, but then I guess in the end she realized that, well, at least she's not going out getting drunk every weekend and buying all, you know, fashion design clothes and just waste my money on costumes instead. So, you know, it could be worse.
My mom's like getting all into it. She's like, what are you showing? Let me help you. Can I be in it? No, I'm too old. But I want to be in it. Can I? No, I won't. She wants to join. She's like, she really doesn't like it. She doesn't think that I have normal friends. You don't? Because and she's really against it. And she's just, you know, whenever I tell her about it, she's just like, why are you so weird?
Seriously, if my mom had the chance, she would jump into a costume right away.
I wish my mom was like that, but she usually tries to talk me out of it. Like, please don't do it, please. But you just don't do it.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. What about your dad's?
My dad is kind of cool with it. He doesn't really get why I do it, but he doesn't mind.
Doesn't mind.
My dad doesn't talk much. I don't think he's ever really said anything about, you know, my costumes. He's laughed a bit at me if I look funny, I guess, but you know, I think he's a bit more cool about it than my mom is. I went out in my cosplay one time in Jutland. We had this medieval festival.
Okay.
It's a pretty big thing, and I went as Merlin one year, and well, my mom took me because she wanted to go too. And she's just like, I'm not gonna walk beside you because I don't want to be seen with something like that. She thought that was really weird. But then I got recognized by someone, and then my mom thought it was really cool, and then she wanted to walk next to me again.
I also wanted to talk to one of the convention organizers, so we set up a meeting for the next day at, well, basically the same place, since it's pretty common that everybody knows where Anna merch is. Cosplay walks. Okay, somebody mentioned cosplay walks to me, but I'm not exactly sure what it is.
Well, basically, it's just a meetup for people in cosplay, and then they walk around the city.
They just walk around the city?
Yeah. And then usually, here in Copenhagen, they end up at one of the bigger gardens in Copenhagen, and then they have like a picnic, or they just chill and hang out.
Okay. How do the people of Copenhagen react to people dressed up and walking through their city?
Odd stares.
Oh, okay.
They kind of look at the side, kind of weird. Why they dressed up? I mean, we have something similar to Halloween in Denmark. It's called Fastelavn. It's I think it was in February. So if you're in costume, then it's fine. If you're not, they look at you crazy.
So do you plan the conventions close enough so they kind of like no?
But we tend to let people in the area know beforehand that we're having a convention. You're probably gonna see people in costume. Don't be alarmed.
Okay, I'm sure they handle it pretty well. They're just like oh, okay, they're just kids.
Yeah, people, if you have cosplay walks, they usually look at you weird, but if you have conventions where everyone is gathered and they know something is going on, they usually get fascinated, intrigued. They want to see what it is, so they come by, like, ask questions. Who are you guys? What do you do? What is this? Why are people in costume? So when it's at a convention, outsiders have a completely different reaction to it.
Okay, so how do you answer outsiders when they actually come up to you and ask you what's going on? Like, how do you describe it to them so they understand?
Usually we try to explain it with, well, we're having this convention, it's called blah blah blah, depends on who it is. And we say we focus on stuff like Japanese culture and animation. We call it cartoons because anime would not make sense to people who don't know what anime is.
Right.
And the same with manga, we call it Japanese comics to make sense to outside people.
Yeah.
And then they go like, oh, okay, so people in costume, they're people who dress up like the people from the animations or from the games or from the comic books. I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. They ask questions like, what else do you do here? They say, oh, we have showings, we have guests coming from foreign countries, people who voice some of the characters in cartoons or who drew the comic books and similar. And most respond positively. I have yet to hear about anyone going like, wow, that sounds ridiculous, and walk away. So, which is good. that people don't do that. So open mind.
Awesome. So the convention, how did the convention start here? Okay, you mentioned J-pop as the longest running?
J-PopCon started back in the year 2000, and it started more of like people getting together to watch anime because it wasn't that well known in the market. So they found like-minded people on bulletin boards, and they're like, let's get together, watch some animation over a weekend. So they did, and it gradually grew bigger. I think the first convention was like 39 people, so very, very small. And then they had a break for like 2-3 years, and then they grew exponentially. So like 300 the next time, 600, 800, it kept growing. Today I think there are around 2,500, 3,000 people attending J-PopCon.
Okay, and how many anime conventions are there in this country itself?
Big ones, 3. There are J-PopCon as the oldest one. There's SVSCon in Jutland, which is different part of Denmark, entirely different part of Denmark. And then Genki.
Okay.
But we also have smaller conventions which are more focused on the social aspects of getting together and watch anime stuff. And I think we have around 8 of those.
Okay, so those are more like those are more like more social gatherings. So they're just more like a once a month.
They're also over a weekend.
Oh, they're over a weekend as well. Okay. Are they more like a street fair type atmosphere?
No. It's kind of like the first Genki was in 2009. We had 200 people. We limited on purpose to 200 people, and it's mostly like that. So they limit it to X amount of people, not above, let's say, 250.
Okay.
And then they have it at a school or another place, and then they watch anime, they read manga, they discuss it.
Okay. In a way, the scene sounds like it's growing. Like you have multiple conventions starting to show up. Are there more and more people getting into the convention and the cosplay and the anything?
That's the thing. Since we started, the number has increased, but what you actually see is a trend of older people getting out of the community because they feel like there's not enough innovation on the convention scene, and there's not enough that is geared towards their age group.
Oh, okay.
So as soon as people reach like 19, 20 years of age, they slowly start falling out because it's not the same thing, but it's close to, and it's geared mostly towards younger people, younger audiences.
Okay, so what are the age ranges that you get at your convention mostly?
The average age for J-PopCon last year, I think, was 19.6. The average age for Genki was lower, I think it was 17 point something.
Okay, so then in your country, the anime conventions tend to skew more to a younger audience, and then you start losing them when they get older?
Exactly. And one of the ways that the conventions are trying to, let's say, escape that trend is having plus 18 events and parties at night. And also starting to add more panels and debates where older audiences can talk to more age like-minded people as themselves, because it can be kind of hard to discuss, I don't know, let's say, gender representation in anime with someone who's 14.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, voice acting in Danish, Denmark, there's not that much anymore, right?
No.
So when did this all go down? Like when there used to be dubs done in Danish, right?
Yeah. I mean, a long time ago, I remember watching stuff like Pokemon, Digimon.
And before that, you had Robotek got dubbed in Danish.
Yeah.
Also, Cyber 9 got dubbed in Danish.
And I remember Silver got dubbed. I remember Sailor Moon didn't get dubbed in Danish, I think, but did in Swedish.
In German and Swedish.
Also, I mean, I remember cartoons or anime being very, very popular with kids a long time ago, especially. I even saw Digimon in Arabic. That was crazy.
That's gotta be crazy.
Yeah.
But no, today you don't really see it as much, and I think one of the reasons is that they realize that the target audience are not young kids, but people who can read subtitles and prefer it in the original language. Because one of the things I noticed...
That's not correct. I have a lot of younger people who come into a shop and they actually say that they actually ask me, do you know if there's a dub for this anime anywhere, because they can't concentrate on reading the stuff. And
yeah, but I think that's a minority. Yeah. Because if you look at the people who watch anime, most of them are 14 or older. People old enough to know English and can read English.
Yeah.
And you see maybe 1% of those are younger than that and want dubs. So you still have a 99 percentile of people who prefer it in subtitles in original language. Which is, and I checked this because in other countries where anime is not as popular, my mom is originally from Serbia, but anime came to Serbia like maybe 5-10 years ago, and they started with all the big ones like Naruto and Bleach, and all of them were dubbed, subbed, because no one wanted to watch anime in Serbian language, which is peculiar because all the cartoons that came before anime were all dubbed, and they were dubbed, I would say, in the old school way, where the original voice track was still in the background. So I have video cassettes or VHS tapes that in Serbian cartoons that has Serbian dubs, but you can hear the English in the background, or you can hear the Russian in the background, or whatever. So
wow.
I think that's kind of interesting and peculiar in the way that at least anime and cartoons and dubbing have developed in, let's say, less developed countries. It's kind of harsh because we're not really a new country, but the economy is screwed. But how it is developed there, and also in Denmark and Sweden and Norway.
I find that fascinating because in the States, people sometimes prefer dubs, and that's why we have a lot of voice actors as guests at conventions.
Yeah, we had Vic Mignogna at J-PopCon.
Yeah, he was there once.
The voice actor for.
He's done so much. He's done so much stuff.
I think it was specifically because he had done Full Metal Alchemist. So there were a lot of Danish fans who actually had him quote stuff from Full Metal Alchemist. So people in Denmark know of American dubs, and they probably watched a few, but in the most part to make fun of it.
No, I also think a lot of our guests watch the actual English dubs.
Yeah, it's the English dub I was talking about.
They don't.
Oh, okay, yeah.
People ask me, people come down the shop and ask if I can find the English dub, not Danish dub.
They don't listen to the Danish because the Danish is horrible.
Yeah, that's how many people feel about American dubs, because I know I watched a few anime where the dubs were less than standard. Okay, they were outright horrible. I mean, I remember.
There are some
good ones. There's some good ones. Like Tara Strong is an amazing voice actor. I love her. I love what's his name, John DiMaggio.
Yeah,
he's amazing.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other voice actors I think are less good. Let's just say it like that. Because I know I watched some anime. The one I remember most vividly is the one for the Tekken animation. It's called Tekken the Motion Picture. It's actually a 2-episode OVA. It's impossible to find the original voices anymore. You can only watch it in English, and it sounds horrible. There are no emotions. Everyone in the anime are like angry, they're fighting, they're getting hurt, and it's completely monotone.
I'm going to defeat you.
Yes. We will fight now, because you are a bastard, and this is a fighting tournament. Yeah! And that was it. I was like, you can't be serious. This is like the same voice regardless of like emotional state. I was like, I can't deal with this.
Okay, so since you guys used to have Danish voiceover actors, do they go to conventions? No.
I can't find them. That's the thing. You can't find them because in Denmark we don't have that big of a pool of voice actors, so you get the same voice actors for practically everything. And I remember the most is the guy who played Joey in Yu-Gi-Oh! He's like everywhere.
Oh yeah.
And he has a very specific voice. You recognize when it's him. Because it sounds kind of gruff, not really teenager-ish, but still. So as soon as he appears in anything else, I go like, it's Joey from Yu-Gi-Oh!
You should find this guy, bring him to conventions.
I can't find him.
I think all conventions have been trying to find Danish voice, and we can't find them.
And even the few times that we succeed, they're usually like, nah, not really. Because they moved on now. So they're like, I don't really care much for it. I'm like, you can't force them.
It's kind of, it's just, for them it's kind of like it's just a side job that they.
Yeah. God damn it! I want Joy.
I want Professor Oak. The voice as Professor Oak is the same guy who sang the Pokemon.
Is it?
Yeah.
and that was my trip to Copenhagen, Denmark. I hope in the future to visit more countries to bring you more stories from cosplay communities around the world. Thank you!